And while the piped-in music plays over this bed of red roses, that lady there just a few moments ago was practicing her line dancing as she walked along. Apparently the music comes from this man's day pack. Here, what to me seems to be somewhat of an abstract allusion to yin-yang, although there are probably 3 colors here rather than 2. These features that stick out from the wall are called cont'd, or buttress, and their purpose: improve the capability of defense and kill the enemy entering the blind angle of the city wall. So apparently, as the enemy came around a corner, they were either disorientated or surprised or whatever, but certainly somehow, therefore, vulnerable. Are called cont'd, or buttress, and their purpose: improve the capability of defense and kill the enemy entering the blind angle of the city wall. So apparently, as the enemy came around a corner, they were either disorientated or surprised or whatever, but certainly somehow, therefore, vulnerable. And apparently that's what we're looking at here, is one of those cont'ds, a particularly large one. Up at the top we can see some crenellation remaining and some arrow holes. It's interesting that it doesn't provide for a shot straight down. I mean, even from here you can see that, looking at that hole on the right, right from this viewpoint, you couldn't get an arrow at me, not see me and do it. Here's a lady performing some kind of exercise or ritual, very much exactly the same, almost the same, not exactly, as the one portrayed in the movie that I have of the world at large. This apparently is the blind angle that's being referred to here. Continuation of the City Wall Park in Beijing walk in the morning on Sunday, the 18th of September, and it's tape 9. There's some good examples of those foundation stones, and there a long one like the men in the sculpture out at the Marco Polo wall were carrying. I was taking a close look at these surfaces to see if there was any particular reason for them. The ones down below very smooth, like you'd expect to find on a floor, and yet that one very chopped up. Maybe it was just a way to roughly square it. And some of these others with diagonals very close together, and here with big chunks knocked out, but it almost looks like there were drill holes down through there. I wonder if they had must have had some technology, because that's certainly what they look like. And these here, a long drill hole here or something, but yeah, that looks like it. Huh. These, I think, are the same kind of trees that I saw on the way over to Qing, or correction, from Qing to Shanhaiguan on the bus. Here they look rather pretty next to the wall. These are wall screens that were used in what we would use photographs or paintings. The emperor, like Kanxi, Xinglong, would have had these in their temples and homes. An army of gardeners. This may be a holdover from the Olympics sprucing up, understatement, underline, 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 of Beijing, or a ongoing thing that a capital does because of national pride, or combination. Don't know. Here's an elderly man doing I Ching, or one of those exercise. Here's one of those done ties. and we're approaching what may be the observation tower, or the observatory. Some pretty peach blossom-like blossoms. Certainly all of this looks like it's been restored for the tourist trade, and the tour buses seem to confirm that. I'm walking on these foundation stones, and you can see that they vary in width, which you don't see, and yet they're very, very smooth, almost as though they were sawn. They're very delicately engraved, huge stone. Can't determine what it depicts. Dogs in Beijing, if not China at large, lead an idyllic life. They're very well controlled, very tame, mostly all small, although there are some larger dogs showing up. Usually unleashed and very much under control. I think this is the observatory. Very pretty flower growing up alongside the wall of this complex. It's the Marriott Hotel over there, apparently. I'll be walking up in that general direction for much of the rest of the day to different sites. Apparently inside we'll encounter the immortal Peach Palace, a Tao temple, Ming Dynasty. Apparently its importance was a connection with a immortal peach fair. This used to be a horse path, and it used to be smooth, composed of bricks, city wall bricks that were laid vertically, converted here for the tourist benefit. Scratched into the wall of this tower behind the sign is the graffiti of the Allied forces of the Eighth Powers. Apparently in 1900, the Allied forces of the Eighth Powers invaded Beijing. Qing troops in the Boxer movement, soldiers fought with them. On August 14th, the tower was taken over. This was the criminal evidence left by the Russian and American invaders. Scratched into the wall of this tower behind the sign is the graffiti of the Allied forces of the Eighth Powers. Apparently in 1900, the Allied forces of the Eighth Powers invaded Beijing. Qing troops in the Boxer movement, soldiers fought with them. On August 14th, the tower was taken over. This was the criminal evidence left by the Russian and American invaders. Paul F. M-O-V-V-A or M-O-W-A R something or other, I-A, whatever that is, December 16, 1906. Columns, relatively speaking, with the beams no more extraordinary than those found in other Chinese temple buildings. It's unique in that it seems to be 4, maybe 5 stories high, but other than that, three curious sculptures, presumably Chinese working men. Their hands appear to be as though they were holding something. Their bodies somewhat contorted. They seem out of proportion. Their upper torso much longer than their lower torso. Don't know what the significance of these square window portals are, or is. Here the beams at the top are certainly massive, held together with some metal strapping. And it looks like there's some strapping underneath that kept the beams tight. And here we get to look down. I'm looking here to see if I can see any of that structure that's called Daozhou, I think it was. That is the technology used for cantilevering out the roofs.